Everybody, how you doing today? Today is Independence Day, July 4th, 2020, and we are celebrating this weekend in Kansas City. It's about a 3-hour drive from where we live in Salina. We've been social distancing all spring and this far into summer so far, and haven't been able to get out much. But we decided to go ahead and come out to Kansas City this weekend to spend some time with my sister-in-law. I wanted to get some work done on some trees while we were here, so I brought a couple trees with me. I brought a crabapple and a elm tree. I'll make a video today of the elm tree pruning, and then the crabapple is going to be, I'll be taking some air layering off that crabapple. So look forward for that video also, but we'll go ahead and get started real quick with pruning this elm tree. And so far I don't hear too many fireworks going off yet, but I imagine you'll probably hear them in the background. As a matter of fact, there goes some now. Let's just get started pruning and see if we can bring this tree back into shape.
So here's the tree we'll be working on today. You probably saw this tree first in the elm introduction video. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link in the top here, and you can go back and watch that. And basically it's the elm introduction where I just did a video of all my elm trees. I dug this tree in 2014 and have been growing it in a container since. I've mostly let it grow. I'd let it grow for a couple years and then cut it back. Grow a couple years and cut it back. I've been working on the root system the whole time, and I really like the way the root system is currently. I just have to work on the Navarre and the surface roots a little bit more. The last time I repotted this, I did bury it a little bit deeper. As a matter of fact, there's the wire ties in there now. But this, I'm just about finished working the roots on this. Like I said, it's the Navarre, or the flare at the bottom, that still needs some work. And that's why I've been letting it kind of grow out long and stuff. You can see where I did a trunk chop. See if I can pull that back some. Did a trunk chop down in there. Started a new leader. Chopped it back a couple of times to try to create some taper there. I think there's pretty good movement in the tree so far. I'm gonna take it back quite a ways, I think. First thing I'll do is go in and take off any branches that are kind of growing straight up. I've got some that are probably growing straight down. Anything that's kind of grouped together, I'll thin those out, take some of these longer ones back. See, here's more. Let's see if I can. Here's another example of a branch going straight up, kind of in the middle of the tree. I'll get those things cleaned up first. Here's some back down in there that are kind of growing straight down. Oh, there we go. Things like this, or branches like this that are growing straight down, especially in the middle of the tree, I'll cut those out. Stuff growing up. There's another one that's kind of growing up. I'll go through and clean those out first, and then after that I'll make some decisions about where I want to prune back to. So as I'm working on this, I'm also going to be looking at building, beginning to kind of build pads. And I don't know if you can see this. That's kind of where I've got it started here. You can see maybe another one up here. And once I get all this pruned out and clean it up, I think you'll be able to see it a little bit better. All right, I got my tools rounded up. I think first thing we'll do is start looking for branches that we can clear out pretty quickly, such as branches that are going straight up, or growing straight down, or little weak ones that are kind of on the interior. So I'll just reach in here and start snipping at some of these. I don't know if you can See that here's one that's kind of just coming straight up out of there. That's a good one to get rid of. We'll reach back in here. There's some growing out of the old prune site where I did the trunk chop. Looks like here's another couple one. So what I'm really kind of looking to do right here is we're going to start trying to build a pad off of these. Several of these branches I did let grow long to help start thickening up the branches a little bit. I may decide once I get down to that part of the pruning that I might leave them, go ahead and just leave them long. So right here we got the tip of a branch. We got one branch coming down, a second branch here, and a third branch right here. And then directly behind it, there's another branch going straight down. So I'm gonna reach back there, take that one off. This is a long run here. So I'm gonna take that one off. And then these branches cross right here with another one. So I'm simply gonna prune that back. And this leaf I'm pruning back to is pointing at me or at the camera. So the new growth that comes off that should come this direction. So we're going to get a nice zigzag pattern there. And then, so if that one comes this way, let's go look at this branch since we're here. And again, see a nice long run there? We're not really looking for that. So I'm going to prune it back. I'm going to prune it back one more and change that direction a little sooner. The more directional changes we can get in between the internodes, the better. So here's some more, kind of like what we're doing right now, but what I'm trying to just focus on really is trying to get these branches that are growing straight down. More that aren't going to be any help right now. So I think already we can start to see this is opening up some. Right up here's a branch going straight up. Let's get rid of that. Here's a branch growing straight back into the tree. We don't want that, so let's just snip that one off. This branch comes out and splits right here and then continues up. So I'm gonna cut it back to this point. So I cut that off. It's still pointed up a little bit, but if I need to, I can put a little wire on it and lay it down. And then as you can see, I can start forming a pad right here. All right, let's see, here's another one. Now I noticed, I could just snip that off, but I noticed that also at the base of that, there's a branch going back to the interior. So I'm gonna snip the one off going back to the interior and then just shorten this one. This one comes off. Right here, it splits into two, but then there's a branch above it. And that branch above it is quite a bit thicker than the two below it. And it's kind of growing up and filling some of this space. So I think I'm gonna cut this branch off and it's gonna open up a little more space in here. Maybe it'll help let a little more light come in, and maybe it'll help be able to, the viewer to see the trunk a little bit better also. So I'm gonna cut that. And now I've got another branch that's growing straight back into the trunk, towards the trunk. So I'll take those off. Here's one. Kind of going back to the interior. So right here, this branch is growing right on top of the branch below it. Back here, further down the branch comes out and it splits into two. And then this one comes up and it splits into two right here. And then it comes up and splits to two right above that one. I'm gonna take this one off since I have something good below it. All right, so we're gonna start up in this level here, right off the bat. Boom, right there, right here. Let's get that one. Get that out of here. In between the time that I recorded the introduction to the video and now, I had realized that my tools were in the vehicle still, and they had to make a quick trip to the grocery store with their masks on to pick up some extra supplies that we'd come up short on. And so in the meantime, I made up our hamburger patties. And I'm starting to smell all the rest of the grills in the neighborhood start firing up now. And I'm starting to get kind of hungry. Start to move over right here. I don't know, I'm a charcoal guy. I kind of like to cook on charcoal. I know everybody has their opinions about different ones. I'd be interested to know what you guys cook on. Just do it on the stove, or do you use charcoal or gas? You know, to be honest with you, I used to cook with gas all the time, but I had a good friend that just kept talking about how much charcoal is more superior to gas, and I was kind of in the market for a new grill, and I thought, what the heck, I'm gonna go with a charcoal one, and I enjoy it. There is kind of a convenience loss of just being able to run out and fire up a propane grill, but I like to build a fire too, so that's part of the reason I like that. So here we got two branches crossing. We'll come back and address that here shortly. I want to continue working on cleaning this stuff out here. This spot here that's got some, it's missing some foliage there. I actually had some tent caterpillars on this tree earlier this year. So instead of running to the hardware store and buying an insecticide, I just decided to take my pruners in there and snip a few. But this one was devoid of leaves. But I see a bud has broke and starting to sprout again. But unfortunately, it's growing straight up and down, so I'm gonna cut it off. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about barbecue. Do you prefer charcoal, prefer gas? Don't want a pan. I cook with cast iron a lot. I use my cast iron skillet all the time. And I don't remember what the situation was, but I did burgers on the cast iron skillet once inside, and that was also really good. So for those of you that have watched most of the other videos, a couple different times I've ribbed myself a little bit about not having a turntable. And in one of the videos I said that I will have a turntable before my next video, and I don't. Part of the reason is you've also seen some of my other videos where I've had, where I keep bees also. And it's been kind of an active bee season for me. I started out the year with 2 hives. And then I split one of the hives at the zoo. And I offered the zoo a donation if they let me take those bees home that I split.
And so we made a deal out with that. And then that very evening, we found a swarm. Not sure if it was out of my hive, probably was out of my hive. It got away from us. And then that evening, when I went back out to the farm to check on the bees, I then saw a queen cell in one of my stronger hives. So I split the hive that night. A few days later, caught a swarm. So then I also have a video. I'm not sure which one it is now off the top of my head. I can't remember, but it might have been the last one with the gin seal. But right as I got started with that video, I got a call about another swarm. So we went out and captured that. We got that one, got it boxed up. And then a few days later, ended up with another swarm. As a matter of fact, it was Father's Day. It was Father's Day? No, it was Saturday before Father's Day. And the day before. And so anyways, I had 2 hives a couple weeks ago, now I've got 6. And so I've been kind of busy doing that and not getting my turntable ordered or found, or I've been thinking about building one. All right, I think we have the initial first run of the pruning finished. We'll start back here at the bottom, and I think what we're working to do is build the ramification and kind of build these pads a little bit. I'd like to try to offset them some so that the sunlight can get all the way down through the tree, and also hopefully open it up enough that the viewer can see the trunk. I have to make some decisions about any of this I could use as a sacrificial branch, because what I don't want to happen is for these branches up higher up in the tree to be bigger or thicker than these down here. And I don't know that this branch will always be a part of this tree. I want to be careful and not let the tree get too big. And so I would need this branch down here. But I also like, but also usually elm trees usually have a pretty bare trunk going up quite a ways, and then they fork off. So the next thing I'll do is go in and just maybe get some of the cross branching out and continue to look for stuff that I don't need. Branch comes off the trunk and it makes a nice turn pretty quick. Comes up here, divides into 2 different branches. If we follow this one up, it divides into 2 different branches. And then it comes on up, and then we've got a lot of branches here. On the other path, this comes up, makes a nice turn, and then follows on out to the tip. Now if you can kind of see how thick this branch is, and then it stays the same thickness all the way to about here. Now this one's a little bit smaller, but almost not noticeable. And same when you get up, when you make that turn here, you can see I had a prune cut there in the past and a prune cut there. And then all of a sudden, all of this is almost, not quite, but almost the same thickness. Now what our goal is to have the branches step down in size at these junctures or at these turns. And so now we have decisions to make about how far back to cut stuff. And like I was just saying, I would like for these branches to be bigger. These smaller branches, I don't really want to get, I don't want them to grow, or I don't want them to thicken up so much. But I also think they're already too thick. So now that's the dilemma, is I could cut them, I could cut everything all the way back to here and start over with smaller stuff, but then I probably lose the potential to grow this trunk. Since I have this, and I've got this good split right here, and then we start getting into the trouble area up here.
got another good split right here before it goes off into what I'm calling the sacrificial branch way out on the end. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've got this is good. I believe this is good. We start getting into the problem areas right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to cut some of this back on this side, maybe to slow down the strength of this branch. I've got something that far back, but that runs right into there. Snip that off there. I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to just cut that end off there. There's a little bit of green right there. I hope that's enough to keep the tip of that branch alive. I gave it a little space to die back, to kind of callus over or heal over there. So maybe I'm taking, or my goal here is to take some of the vigor out of that branch. And then what I'll do, this branch comes up and it immediately turns and it goes back behind the tree. I don't think I need that either. And so I'm going to remove this whole branch. I'm going to focus just right here for a minute. Another little, another few I can just snip off there because they're not needed. Here's one that's kind of growing back. Okay, so now we're going to focus right here. Remember, we were looking at this branch coming up, splitting here again. See where it splits. Now the branch is coming up here, and it kind of has a three-way split right there. And I think what I'm going to do is actually take this one off so I can move, get the movement of the branch to go back to fill in, kind of remember what we kind of just removed over here. We just kind of removed some stuff here. And when I remove that branch going off to the camera's left, that's going to help fill in over here to the camera's right. Same situation right here. We've got that split. I'm going to take that off, but then the rest of this branch, the rest of this branch here is the sacrificial branch. Okay, so what we're left with is this big bulb on the end of this branch that changes directions. You can see there's several places I've snipped that off in the past. But I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to leave that on the branch because it is the sacrificial branch. I'll cut it off later. This branch I could get rid of, but there's a whole, this whole space is open and it'll draw nutrients and stuff up there also. So I'll just let it go and let it help build. Now, eventually when I'm done with that branch, I can see cutting it back. So we'll have this split right here. I can see cutting it all the way back to here somewhere. And also the other reason that I really want to thicken this branch up is, so there's the side of the trunk chop. You can see how it's rolling over nicely, callousing over. But when this new leader started in the back, I ended up with, I guess you would also call this inverse taper also, but I had a bud open and come off of the branch here, which created the new leader. And so you can see there's a funny void right there. And so I'm hoping that I can grow this branch big enough that all this will fatten up and then eventually fill that in. So that's my goal there, is to get that filled in. Okay, so I got the camera backed up here a little bit. I talked earlier about the Navarre down here, which isn't all that existent yet, so I'm still working on that. But the widest base of the tree right now is
is from this view. This is here, goes up, we start to get some taper where the trunk chop happened. Got a first branch here. The tree is moving off here to camera's left, and this first branch here is going to sweep way back opposite to kind of counter that lean. So we'll put some movement back that way, and then we're looking at the second branch here, third branch. Then we do get quite a bit higher before we have a back branch. I don't know if you can hear it yet, but the fireworks are starting to fire up. It's just after 6 o'clock Central Time here on the 4th of July. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of branches coming out everywhere here. Same type of deal. This is going to be the bottom branch. I'm going to use this as a sacrifice branch, so I'm just going to let it grow. Eventually I'll prune it off back here somewhere, but because this is the bottom or the first branch, it needs to be thicker than everything else. So I'm going to just take some stuff off that I know I won't ever need, or stuff that will interfere with growing the rest of the tree. I'm going to cut it back. And looks like we got a little leaf down here. Probably will be the one we count on later. Okay, so now we're going to move higher up the tree. Now, remember, down below, I wanted to leave some stuff to thicken the branches up because the bottom branches need to be thicker because they should be older. Up here, I want to kind of slow everything down a little bit. So I'll probably prune things back much harder here. So I'll look for good splits in the branches, good ramifications. So where one branch turns into two and then two into four, that's where I'll prune back to this time. The neighbor's 4th of July party is starting, so there should be some extra noise in the background. And I'm gonna try and finish this up because I just got word that our 4th of July cocktails are about ready. So we come on down this branch, it splits here again, and it is getting a little bit smaller as it goes. What I'm going to try and do is just cut, it looks like I'm cutting the new growth off this year, and I'm going to take it like this. I'm gonna have a big decision to make here one day. A previous chunk chop happened right here, and it appears that that's gonna leave kind of a big bulbous area. I wonder if I can remove one of those two. Man, if I remove that whole thing right there, if I take that whole thing off, that takes, I wonder what that would look like. I did it. So basically I cut a big wound off where there was a chunk chop. Now I need to go back in there and fix all of that, and I didn't bring my knob cutters with me, and I wish I would have. But I think I'll be able to fix that. So, okay, so now what we have, we got movement, boom, boom, boom. So that's good. I said I was gonna take the apex down. I'm gonna start speeding up here a little bit just because with all the barbecue grills firing up and all the fireworks starting, all the parties going, might not be able to keep this up. So I wanted to lower the apex. This branch here I can take up, or train to go straight up for the new leader. I've got a few over here I could choose from. So that's, actually, I've got this big, I actually have this big bulbous area behind here, so I'm gonna take that off also. I'm gonna leave myself a couple options for new leaders. So 1, 2, 3 options, 3 chances for it to die back. So when you're cutting and you want to make your, to control your growth, look at which way the leaf on these is pointing, and that will be about the direction that your new branch would come off there. So let's say I needed a branch out here to go to camera right. I can snip that right there, and the new branch should come out generally in this area. If I need it to go to the left, snip it here, and then in general it will go that direction. And then these are the internodes, and the better the ramification you get, the shorter these internodes need to be together. And you can do that simply by pruning back. And that's the stage I'm gonna go to now in this upper canopy, is pruning these back like that. I think I am about done for now. So let's try to recap real fast. So let's look at this one more time. Looking at it from what is probably going to be the front of the tree, because we have the widest base of the trunk here. Like I said, we're still working on the surface roots and the Navarre, the root flare there. We come up the tree, we've got some movement. We've got our first branch. We go on up the tree. Let me give you a little better look at the trunk chop of the tree. And it's healing up nice. So as we move up, we got our second branch. Again, low branch in the tree. I want it to be thick. So I have got the sacrificial branch coming out here. From there we go up the tree. Pretty good movement. Come out on some more branches. The branches are pruned back. I've got them pruned back because I don't want them to grow so thick. And I'll start building some of the ramification on those. So that's all the work we'll do on the tree today. I hope you enjoyed watching. Like I said, we'll continue to work with this tree over the years. It's going to take some time still. So I think the kids are ready to jump in the pool tonight. I'm ready to light the grill. If you're watching here in America, happy birthday, America, and enjoy the fireworks tonight. And for everybody else around the world, I hope you enjoyed the video. Everybody be safe while we finish up this virus business, I hope. Let's get this over with. Dragging on way too long. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you next time.
Dad, look, I'm putting a lightning pop.